Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. I'm so glad you're here today because we're diving into something that's sparking a lot of conversations across the country. President Donald Trump just unveiled a brand new initiative called America Prays, and it's already making headlines. Whether you agree with it or not, it raises some really big questions about faith, freedom, and the role of religion in public life. So here's what happened. On September 8th, at the Museum of the Bible in Washington, D.C., Trump gave a speech centered on what he called America's foundation of faith. He said something that really stood out. When faith gets weaker, our country seems to get weaker. When faith gets stronger, good things happen for our country. In other words, he's tying the nation's strength directly to its religious foundation. Do you agree with that idea, that a nation's strength comes from its faith? Or do you think it comes from something else, like unity or maybe innovation? Now, the centerpiece of this event was the launch of America Prays. This is essentially a nationwide call to prayer, leading up to the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence in 2026. Trump is inviting people from churches, synagogues, mosques, and other faith communities to come together in prayer for the nation's future. And get this, more than 70 faith-based organizations have already pledged to take part. That's a pretty big number right out of the gate. I'm curious, if you're watching this, do you think a national prayer movement can really bring people together, or will it end up highlighting the differences between us? But that wasn't all. Probably the most controversial part of the announcement was about schools. Trump said that the Department of Education will soon issue new guidance to protect the right to pray in public schools. This builds on something his administration had already worked on years ago, making sure students had the right to pray, form religious groups, and express their beliefs. He's now pushing to expand those protections. And that raises a huge question. Should prayer have a place in public schools, where kids of all different faiths, or no faith, are sitting in the same classroom? What do you think? Does allowing prayer in schools strengthen freedom of expression, or does it blur the line between church and state? Of course, not everyone is cheering this move. Groups like Americans United for Separation of Church and State came out strongly against it, saying the whole event felt more like a church service than a government policy announcement. They argue that mixing religion with government initiatives, especially in schools, could lead to favoritism toward one religion and potentially make others feel excluded. And that's a valid concern, right? Imagine being a student from a different faith tradition, or not religious at all, and suddenly your school starts promoting prayer. Would you feel included or pressured? Trump, however, insists this isn't about excluding anyone. He frames America Prays as an inclusive effort, saying it's open to all faith communities. During his speech, he said, "We will never apologize for our faith. Ever, ever, never, never. We will never surrender our God-given rights." It's clear he's trying to rally people around the idea of religious freedom, not just religious practice. But depending on your perspective, that phrase can either sound empowering or a little polarizing. So here's something to think about. Is this initiative really about uniting people through faith, or is it more about energizing his political base that values religion in public life? And this isn't happening in isolation. Earlier this year, Trump also launched the task force to eradicate anti-Christian bias, opened a new White House faith office, and even created a Religious Liberty Commission. On top of that, federal workers were recently told they can display religious symbols at their desks, form prayer groups, and participate in religious expression openly in government spaces. Put all of that together and you can see a pattern. Faith is becoming more and more central in how this administration frames its policies. Do you think that's a good direction for the country, or do you feel it risks excluding people who don't share the same beliefs? Here's another angle worth considering. As the U.S. prepares for its 250th anniversary, a milestone moment in history, initiatives like America Prays are clearly meant to tap into a sense of unity, tradition, and national pride. But unity can mean different things to different people. For some, prayer across communities could feel like a beautiful symbol of togetherness. For others, it might feel like the government stepping too far into the realm of religion. So here's the big question. Can prayer actually serve as a unifying force in such a diverse country, Or does real unity come from respecting and protecting everyone's differences, even when they don't align with the majority? Personally, I think the fact that this conversation is happening at all is really interesting. It forces us to ask ourselves, what role should faith play in public life? How do we balance religious freedom with inclusivity? And how can we respect the deeply held beliefs of some Americans while also protecting the rights of others who don't share those beliefs? These are the kinds of questions that don't have easy answers, but they're so important as the nation heads toward its 250th birthday. So, what's your take? Do you see America Prays as a positive step toward national renewal, or do you view it as a challenge to the separation of church and state? I'd love to hear your thoughts, so make sure to share them in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown and it got you thinking, go ahead and give this video a like. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss future updates. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today, and I'll see you in the next one.